So Charlie, this is my friend Mike Domenico.
Hey,
Two,
Mike.
What's up, Mike?
How are you?
Good.
he's really into sports, guys.
Being live streamed.
Looks
Yeah,
like he's
yeah.
Is he
into
on the
beer
phone?
too. He's got a Bud Light thing over his left shoulder. I like
Oh,
this guy.
yeah. Yeah. We
Miller
have
too.
Amigos.
Mike,
Beautiful.
look, add this on.
Yeah, I had this on.
I bet the
Guys,
Boston
who you
Bruins
guys,
tonight.
whoever gonna ask questions first, Harry or Mike?
Yeah, well.
Okay, we are live on Rockin' with Rahul and the Three Amigos. Basil, you want to start it off?
Yeah, here we are live on Rockin' with Raul's and the Three Amigos. My name is Basil, and we got Harry and Mike on today, the show.
Good to be with you guys.
Uh, Basil, Harry, can you introduce yourself to the listeners?
Oh yeah, I'm Harry Mays. I was kind of did some radio for a while on 97.5 The Fanatic. I was actually the first radio voice on locally for them, doing a sports update at 6 a.m. on October 3rd, 2005, and gradually worked my way into the radio shows, actually doing a show at night for a couple of years, and then moved into the middays, and I did mornings and a lot of midday stuff for them. And uh, then they offered me a contract that I could have refused, and I did refuse, and I left and worked for 97.3, had a show on there through Jacob Media for a year, and did some YouTube stuff, was on sports Sirius XM with Tony Bruno for a short-lived 5 months during the COVID period until we got fired. And since then, I've been doing a lot of podcasting, and I talk a lot of golf because it's probably the sport that I like the most, believe it or not. But I do a podcast called Swing It and Ding It. It's an iHeart Media product. And then I do the Odgies podcast with one of my old radio cohorts, Jason Mertidis. You'd know him as the hockey guy. Does a lot of the
Yeah.
hockey for the Flyers. Actually works for the Flyers broadcasting team.
Wow.
And we do those each week. So I do 2 podcasts a week and try to play a lot of golf.
Uh,
Harry, would you like to get back on radio, terrestrial radio?
Well, yeah, I have no issue with terrestrial radio. It's I actually interviewed with 97.5 twice over the last couple of maybe 4 months. It didn't work out. Obviously, they made a couple of smaller moves. I didn't think I thought they were going to really add a lot of pieces. They didn't. They sort of moved their own pieces around. But I don't really know if they're finished yet doing changes there because obviously their ratings haven't been quite what they want them to be. So, yeah, I would be open to going back if the the price was right, if you know what I mean, and the day part was right. The only show that I really want to do if I went back to regular radio is a morning show. I mean, other than that, I don't want to do PM Drive, even though it's a great slot. But I don't want to do middays anymore. I'd like to do mornings, and that's pretty much it.
Now,
did you enjoy working with
what's
Mike
the
Missinelli
why
also?
would you like to do mornings rather than midday or
Wait a second. Wait a
any
second.
other
I got
time
two
slot?
questions here. Who do I go to here? Guys,
Did you like working with Mike Missinelli also?
I did. Mike and I got along, and we played some golf together on our own time.
Mhm.
And I think Mike and I have we have a lot in common, actually. I think in a weird way. But Mike's a really smart guy, and I thought I always appealed to his intellect, and I think we sort of looked at sports in similar ways.
Yeah. Uh, you don't mind if I ask another question, do you?
No,
Um, yeah, what I was saying, I didn't catch the answer to that if you answered it. You said you'd like to go back on doing mornings,
yeah,
getting back up at 4 o'clock in the
that
morning and doing all that.
absolutely. Oh yeah,
Uh,
I don't care about that.
you
That's
don't,
I started getting up that early doing the updates at 6 a.m. So I got used to that time frame. It's a little different. I imagine that would be a change for a lot of people, but I did it once before. And if the price is right, I will do it. They offered me to go to the morning show when I left. The price just wasn't right, and they wouldn't come to my price. And that's when I said goodbye.
Yeah. So, what college did you go to for radio broadcasting?
Well, it's funny you asked that because I'm a Temple guy. I went to Temple.
Oh my God.
I graduated from Temple, but I didn't go there for broadcasting. I got a finance degree from Temple back in 1989. And it wasn't until the late 90s that I went to a broadcasting school. It was Connecticut School of Broadcasting they have a campus in Cherry Hill. You probably heard about it. If you listen to sports radio for years, they always advertise. I used to read the commercials and do the live reads. But I went there in I want to say it was probably the year 2000 maybe, and it was like a 4 or 5 month program, and that's where I got involved in broadcasting, and then started to send tapes around everywhere, and finally got on up in the Lehigh Valley on the ESPN affiliate up there, working for $0 to start. I started there for 1 day a week doing a show with another guy that was in my class, and they could afford to pay him a small amount of money, but they couldn't afford to pay me. But he wanted me to come and help him do the show. So I did the show with him, and I drove up there every Wednesday, and we started doing the show, and they liked it. So they wanted us to go to 2 days a week, Tuesday and Thursday. And I said, well, man, I'm spending money driving up here, tolls and gas, and, taking time out of my other life where I was trying to earn a living. I said, you got to find a way to make me, pay me some money. And they finally found a way to give me a stipend of money, and that started it. And then I became 5 days a week up there, and I started doing Lehigh football games, and that led to the start of Sports Talk 950. They were starting up a station on 950 AM, and I saw an article in the Daily News about it and made an inquiry and found who the general manager was. His name was Bob DeBlois, and I called him and I set up a meeting, and away we go. And I basically created my own position because it did not exist. And at the time, they were just going to have syndicated programming from 6 a.m. in the morning until 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Tony Bruno was a part of that syndication, Jim Rome, and then they had another show out of Washington, D.C. Steve Zabin hosted a national morning show, and they were going to use that coupled with Bruno and Rome leading into Jody Mack at 3 o'clock. He was the only local show at the time. And the guy's explaining this to me, and I looked at him and I said, with all due respect, you're going to be off the air in 9 months. And he looked at me like I had 6 heads and was about ready to call security and get me escorted out of the building. And I said, listen to me here. I said, this is Philadelphia. It's a different place. They only care about Philadelphia. They don't give a shit about what's going on in Los Angeles or Chicago or any of these other markets that these guys are talking about. And he said, well, they're going to talk. Tony Bruno's going to talk about Philly. I said, yeah, but Tony, I know Tony's show. He's from Philly and he loves Philly, but they talk about the national stuff. They're not talking about Philadelphia every day. That's all Philly people want to hear. You need at least somebody on every 20 minutes to give an update, a sports update live that talks about what went on in Philly or what's going on in Philly. And I said, that's what I can do for you. And I slid him my CD of my demo CD. I said, you listen to that. And 2 days later, he called me back and he offered me the job. And that's how I got in.
Now,
Oh, wow,
we'll start with basketball, the Sixers.
Oh, yeah.
Game two.
They're not eliminated yet?
No,
Nope.
they're not
Yeah,
eliminated.
yeah.
Yeah.
Working on it.
Well,
Yeah, they're working on it.
The last few
Oh,
seconds
wow.
of the
All right, never
against
mind.
the New York Knicks,
Can you hear me, Rahul?
the referees made a mistake on not calling fouls on Tyrese Maxey and not giving out the timeout.
Yeah.
So, what was your reaction to that?
Well, my reaction is, what good is it to tell America and the world a day later that you screwed up. I mean, the game's over. I like the way Tyrese Maxey handled it in his press availability today. He's a professional, and he knows that they need to make more plays. It's unfortunate that it happened that way. I mean, the coach is signaling for a timeout. Apparently, the referee's looking right at him too. I mean, forget about the fouls. The referee's looking right at him and chose not to give him the timeout. I mean, the problem really is not what happened with the officials or what didn't happen with the officials. The problem is that your best player is still playing on one leg in the most important games of the year. And this has been a recurring issue with this team. And I don't know if it's bad luck. I don't know if it's a curse. I don't know what it is. But when your best player is not near 100% in the most meaningful games, it's hard to win. And that's their biggest problem. I mean, they can come back from an 0-2 deficit if that guy's 95%. The way he looked in the closing moments of that game, where he couldn't even jump to go get a rebound, he couldn't make a move to box out the New York forward that ended up getting that rebound that developed or ended up in the hands of DiVincenzo for the winning three. He can't move. That's the problem. So I don't know if they can get him ready for game 3 tomorrow night. They've had an extra day of rest. They'll have an extra day of rest before game 4 as well. Maybe they can do it. But to me, it's more about that than it is about the officials.
Yeah.
With the game coming to Philly, do you
Yeah.
think the Sixers can tie it up? And
Well, it
what
depends.
was your reaction to Tyrese Maxey winning Most Improved Player of the year?
Well, I don't care about the awards. I never got involved with the MVP either. To me, as a fan, I don't really care about that. I care about a team getting past the second round and getting to an NBA championship and being able to play for a trophy and everybody have a parade. I mean, the awards are nice. It's nice for those players. They probably get bonuses in their salary and all that kind of good stuff. But he's a great player, and he was the one guy. I put out a tweet at the end of last season. I can't remember it word for word, but basically what I suggested is that you need to move on from Harden. You need to get rid of, or they already got rid of Doc Rivers. You need to go hire Nick Nurse. They did that. They got rid of Harden, and you need to build around Maxey. And unfortunately, I would get rid of Embiid too, but they couldn't do it. And if they don't get past this series, I don't think there's any real choice. You got to look to unload this guy because it just ain't working out.
And our next question to you is, with the draft coming up.
Yeah, tomorrow night. How about that?
Yeah. What are you looking forward for the Eagles to do? Do you think Harry Roseman will move up to the 12th spot?
The 12th spot.
Yeah.
Who do you think they're going to take if they get to 12?
Quavon Mitchell, the cornerback.
Oh, okay. Well, Howie Roseman always likes to make moves. He likes to move up in the draft when he can. Sometimes I think he does it just because he knows it's sort of his MO, and people are expecting him to move up. I mean, I think they're going to get a good player if they sit at 22 or whatever they are. Do they draft 22nd? I think
22nd. Yeah.
Yeah, 22nd. I mean, they could probably get that cornerback from Clemson if they just sit at 22. That maybe the kid from Iowa, the cornerback, who's a really nice player, they could get him at 22. They might go get an edge rusher. I think if they're trading up, they're going to get an edge rusher because I think those guys, at least the real good ones, will probably be gone by the time they get to 22. It's a draft that's really rich in offensive linemen, especially good tackles. This team, their MO is always to build through the offensive line, defensive line, and which I think is the right way to go about it. There's a lot of tackles available. John Runyon has been oft injured. When John Runyon doesn't play, the team typically doesn't win. So eventually they're going to have to find a replacement for him. Would it surprise me if they drafted a tackle? Not in the least.
No.
So I'd say, cornerback, edge rusher, or offensive lineman, they could go any which way. Who knows what Howie's going to do?
Um, do I know Jeremiah Trotter's son is also in the draft. Do
Yeah.
you want if he's still up there in the second or third round? Do you want him to get drafted by the Eagles?
Hey, that'd be great. It's really tough. It's got to be really tough to play the same position or the same sport that one of your parents really excelled at. That's got to be an enormous amount of pressure. We've seen this, we're seeing this with LeBron's kid right now, and there's talk about him going, in the draft, and he's averaging like 5 points a game for a lousy team in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
I don't really understand it, but anyway, it's
Uh,
got to be really hard to do that. But Jeremiah's son has done a tremendous job. He's probably going to be picked in probably the third round. If he became an Eagle, that would be tremendous because they need linebacker help, and they typically don't draft linebackers high up in the draft. They typically don't draft cornerbacks very well either. So maybe that means they don't get the cornerback in the first round. Maybe they trade for. I've seen some possible trades for not Stingley, the kid from that played at Alabama, plays for the Broncos. His name escapes me right now.
Patrick Surtain.
Surtain. Yeah, Surtain. There's some rumors about that too. I mean, none of this stuff would surprise me, but to get back to Trotter, yeah, I think that would be fantastic to have a legacy player like that, playing linebacker, because the kid's a hell of a player.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
One of the things that I find about the Eagles is when you're talking about them going out and getting an offensive tackle or a linebacker, you always hear at the end of the season why they got beat. And it never fails. It's that they got beat because they were getting rushed off the edges and their tackles were sitting on their heels, or their linebackers weren't getting upfield, or the cornerbacks weren't making the cut. That's why I think the kid from Iowa would be a good choice. But I just think that those positions that are so important to the game during the game, I think that's something the Eagles should, take a look at a lot closer this year than they have in the past. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, but I like their philosophy that they really put together when Andy Reid was here, and they took a lot of flack for it, and I might have given them some flack for it, but way back in the day too. But over time, I began to realize it's the right way to build is the offensive and defensive line. I mean, you can never have enough of those guys. They've had such a good, defensive front. Now, have they neglected other areas? I mean, back when Andy Reid was here, until they got Terrell Owens, they neglected wide receivers, badly. They kind of don't really care so much about linebackers for some reason. And then you look at other organizations like the Ravens and the Steelers, just to name two, that they build their whole defense really based around the linebacker position. And those guys succeed, or those teams succeed, year in and year out. So, I mean, there's so many different ways to do it. But by and large, I think it's pretty hard to argue with the way the Eagles put together their team.
William, you want to ask the next question?
So have you like been to any the Philadelphia sporting events?
Philadelphia sporting events, have
you talked to any of the players from like the Eagles, the Sixers, the Flyers, and Phillies on one of your podcasts?
We've had some of the former players on. Like I just had Larry Bow on a couple of weeks ago, who's one of my favorite guys in sports. To be honest with you, not just to mention a great Philadelphia Philly, but a great guy. I haven't gone because I haven't been working for a radio station for a couple of years. I haven't had a media credential to get into the locker room. And even when I worked for the radio stations, that really wasn't my job. I felt to go and be a reporter like Howard Eskin was sort of a reporter and then a radio reporter and was always in and around the locker room. I always felt it was better to do my job by not being close to the players, where that's the way I could sort of just be the fans, like sort of be a fan with a microphone is the way I sort of looked at it, where I wasn't a journalist. I let those guys do that. The guys that work very hard, on newspaper and broadcast journalism to go in there because they got to go in there and get quotes. I didn't have to do that. So I really didn't go to a lot of games and go into the locker room. I prefer to sit at home and watch on all my TVs and take notes, and then I can watch the post-game shows if I want to watch the post-game show, and I could watch the 4:25 football game after the Eagles finished at 1, and really just sort of get a handle on everything that's going on. So I sort of went about it a different way.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Do do you do you believe in Nick Sirianni as a coach?
I don't think it's a question of whether I believe in him, but I believe the players believe in him. And that's really all that matters. I mean, he's a quirky guy. He's he did some things when he first came here that I thought he was sort of trying a little too hard to pander to the Philadelphia sports fan by, wearing all the t-shirts and having all the slogans and all that kind of stuff. That kind of I blanched at that, but you got to look at the way the players react to him, and they buy in and they play hard for him. So that's all I need to see.
Now getting into the Phillies, what do you think about the starting pitchers? Spencer Turnbull, Christopher Sanchez,
I think
Nola,
yeah, I mean,
Ranger Suarez.
How about Ranger Suarez?
And what about
Yeah.
And what about Nick Cassiano?
Castellanos, he's having a tough time early in the season getting some hits. But it's like Charlie Manuel used to always say this time of year, it ain't hitting weather yet. It's not warm enough to hit. So I'll give Castellanos a break right now because the rest of the team's hitting pretty well. I mean, even Rojas is hitting. If they can keep Rojas around 260 for the year, can you imagine what that's going to do to the bottom end of that lineup? Especially with the way he plays center field. So, and you mentioned Turnbull. He's a journeyman guy that's kind of, sort of struggled, been very mediocre, but he's had some really great outings here early on with the Phillies. So that's great to see. But the guy I love outside of the obvious guys is Ranger Suarez. And I used to always say in the last year or two that, man, this Phillies team doesn't believe in him the way I believe in him, because they'd always pull him after 5 innings. They couldn't wait to go to the bullpen if he got him through the 5th inning. And I'm like, why don't you let the guy in the game? Like, he's pitching great. They can't wait to go to the pen. Well, what happened? He got a complete game shutout a week or so ago. Had another great outing where I think he went 7 innings the other night. So I'm really happy for him. He's going to make a big paycheck out of this year. You watch, and he deserves every nickel of it. But yeah, I love the Phillies. This team is so fun. They're so fun to watch, and you can just tell that they love playing together. Bryce Harper has been one of the best free agent signings, in my opinion, that this city has ever had. I mean, it's like when it first happened and they spent all that money, I was just like, man, I hope this works out. He comes in here and he couldn't be more Philadelphia. And I know he's not from here. He's from Las Vegas, and he's, but he has immediately put himself into the fabric of this city, and he plays so freaking hard. And that's really all anybody wants to see in this town. They know you'd make a lot of money. They want to see you bust your ass, and they want to see you hate it when they lose as much as the fans do. And that guy does this, and he immediately got it. So he's great to watch. Turner's great to watch. And it was cool with what the fans did last year, because he was off to such a horrific start. And you knew he was going to come around, because there's one thing about baseball. You look at the back of the baseball card, and what does the guy do? He's eventually going to get back to that. That's pretty much the way baseball is. And I'm old enough to know that, and I'm old enough to have watched a hell of a lot of great baseball players. And that's the way it is. So they're a tremendous team. They're going to be in the playoffs again, barring horrific injury, which can happen to anybody. But Wheeler's great. Nola can be great. I think Nola needs to be better, more consistent. But he's this is funny because when they first signed him out of LSU, I talked to a scout. And the scout told me, yeah, he's basically a 2 or a 3, meaning like a second or third starter. And I went to the air with that. And man, fans got all over me. He's an ace. He's an ace. He's not an ace. Okay. Wheeler is an ace. Okay. Nola's a really nice 1A, now a 2 on this team. So he's in the right slot. And if they can get the pitching they've got through 3, 4, and 5 that they've gotten so far this year, they're going to be fine.
And who do you think is the next Philly team to win the championship?
Man, that's tough. I'd say it's not the Flyers. And man, I hate to say it, I don't think it's the Sixers either. I'll say the Phillies.
Yes.
What about the Eagles? Do you think they'll win another Super Bowl in like a year or two?
Well, I don't know about a year or two, but I'm trying. I don't think it's going to happen this next season for some reason. I think the AFC is absolutely stacked. San Francisco is really, really good. I think the Eagles are still the class of the NFC East. Forget about Dallas. The NFC North is a really good division. Green Bay is an up and coming team with their quarterback that they've drafted. Love. I think he's going to be really good. Chicago, everybody thinks they're going to get a rookie quarterback. We'll see how that works out. But Minnesota, I think, could be a team. They've got so many weapons, and I think they're going to make a move in the draft to get a quarterback, like probably McCarthy. And him up there, I think, could be a really good player.
Yeah.
Detroit's really good, too. Detroit, I think, will be around for the next 2 or 3 years. So the NFC is pretty stacked, too. But I'd say if you're going to ask me the next Philly team to win it, I'm going with the Philadelphia Phillies.
Okay.
Syndrome.
Michael, can you introduce yourself to the listeners, and can you talk about autism and what do you think about autism?
Me?
Yeah.
I have Down syndrome.
Yeah, Rahul. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a cool friend does autism for Eagles.
Ben Hartman, he means.
Yeah, Ben.
Yeah.
Ben does raising money for autism.
And we all know he raises money for the Eagles Autism Challenge.
Yeah.
Harry, have you heard of Ben Hartman? He raises money for autism. He always beat Howard Eskin and all.
Oh, no, I don't know him, but I know that that's the big Eagles autism charity thing. That's their charity thing where they raise a heck of a lot of money for. I forget what
Yeah.
Yeah, you a part of that, or you guys worked with them?
No, I haven't
no,
went to that event yet.
Okay.
Harry, I have a question to ask you. Back to football for 1 second. Do you think this would be Aaron Noah's last year because he's been in the NFL since 2005?
You mean Aaron Rodgers?
No, Aaron Rodgers.
Who knows with him, man? I tell you, I would say like if the Jets made a big run and won something, yeah, it probably would be because what a way to go out. But that guy, I think the Jets are cursed. You talk about the Sixers and maybe the curse of the process. I think the Jets are cursed. And if you talk to a Jets fan, they believe it too. Because man, that whole thing was set up where they had a pretty good team this year. They have a really good defense. With him and that running back that they have, pretty good offensive line, and Aaron Rodgers, and he gets hurt like what was it, 4 plays into the season? Like something's crazy about that. But they're definitely going to be a factor because when he's healthy, he's a tremendous quarterback. So that's going to be a great division. Buffalo might have peaked. They might be sort of on the way down. You got Miami, who's up and coming, made the playoffs last year, and the Jets with Aaron Rodgers could be interesting. New England's going to have a new quarterback, but Aaron Rodgers, he's an interesting cat, man, and he's a tremendous thrower of the football. He might be the best thrower of the football. I know I'm not saying strongest arm, but the best thrower that I've seen since I saw Dan Marino in the 80s.
What do you guys want to say to the fan, Harry and Michael? What do you guys want to say to our listeners?
Well, I want to say thanks for listening. I appreciate anybody wanting to tune into me at this point in my career. But man, just stay positive, and good things can happen. Man, we're going to have good Phillies season.
Yeah.
You're going to have a good Eagles season. I don't know if they're going to win the Super Bowl, but they'll get to the playoffs. And who knows what happens with this Sixers team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, how long have you played for the Titans for? The same team I'm on with you.
I was 14. I started at Ahmed Band. He played with us, right, Will?
Right.
Michael,
And,
what do you like about
enjoy-
Special Olympic basketball?
When you hope, our tips. My team is like, I can't get a ball from the teams. I can't how to do it.
Yeah.
What are you talking about, Michael? You don't know how to do what, pal?
Like, time we're playing, like, coming up, we're going to a pen shuttle.
Yeah, this Saturday we're going. Yes.
Yeah. I try to be like MVP for my team. I try to no long shots. Not like NBA.
Yeah, we remind each other that all the time. We're Charlie, our basketball team, the Lansdale Special Olympics Titans, we're more of a layup team. Yeah, Raul, we actually are.
What do you guys
What
like
you're
about
saying is
Special
you don't
Olympic
have any.
basketball?
Oh.
We enjoy making new friends in the program, and we enjoy helping out each other for the team, and we are always there to have fun. That's our team style. That's what Coach Henley always says about our team, including me and Michael. Right, Mike?
Yeah.
That's the only way to play it, is to have fun. And when you have fun, you're going to play your best.
Exactly right,
Winning
Charlie.
this year.
That's the same thing our coach always tells us. We're there to have fun.
Yeah. Yes.
William, you want to do the closing statement?
Yeah. So Mike actually started Special Olympics bowling since last fall, and he enjoys it. Mike, how many tournament? How many what did your team win the championship this year?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, okay. And how do you like Special Olympics bowling also?
I'm gonna give you a tip, Will. Last time I got sick.
Yeah, I think so.
I got what to call it. It's a virus in my throat.
Oh, okay. Well, next time, by next season, you'll be back for bowling. And tell us,
I think a moment because I missed the regionals.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did. And
the regionals, all the team got silver, bronze. All the team got gold. I got gold too.
Oh, that's good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and do you
want to go back? What happened? I was sick.
Oh,
I missed King Powell's last year, I went to Maine.
And do you like horseback riding and football? I heard you do. I remember you telling me that you do horseback riding for football, right?
We're not doing football anymore this year.
Oh,
No.
okay.
I do ride horses. And because I was 4 years old. I ride.
Since then,
Yes, I right now I am 27.
yeah, yeah. Do
Uh,
do you plan to get back into horseback riding next year?
No, I won't.
How many years have you been doing horseback riding since you were 4?
I don't know. I did. I was 4. Now I am 27. I was.
23.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
I'm not very good at math.
Yeah, I know. I did too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coming
Now,
up half a year until I'll be 30, I'll be done.
yeah. So anyway, so that's all for tonight, folks. Please click and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rockin' with Rahul and the Three Amigos. Stay tuned next week and make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And have a great night.
And
Enjoy the
also
rest of the
follow
week.
Harry Mays on YouTube. Can you tell us your YouTube channel, Harry
I don't
Mays?
have a YouTube channel really. I just have my social media is at Harry Mays TU for Temple University, but it's
Yeah.
just TU.
Maybe
Oh,
You got to
maybe
get
we
back
can
on the air,
join.
Harry. That's all there is to it.
What's that?
You know,
Harry, you should get us on your show sometime.
I should. I got to work that out, man. Best of luck to you guys.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And Mike, it was also having you on the show.
Good to meet you, Mike.
hey, what question for you?
Yeah,
I love Temple.
so do I.
That's where my dad went to school.
Yeah, I know. I love Temple because I have a friend down there. His name's Alex Fell. He went to Washington with me.
Well, they just got a 2 recruits over the last 2 days for the basketball team that we're pretty excited about. So Jamal Mashburn Jr., who I remember watching his dad play in the '90s for Kentucky, and then Lynn Greer the third as a transfer who was at St. Joe's and he was at Dayton before that. He should have come to Temple right out of Roman Catholic, but he didn't. But he's now at Temple. So the couple of good days for North Broad.
Yeah, my friend, his name is Alex Fell.
Okay.
He went to Temple for college.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you guys, and it was a pleasure having
Thank
you
you.
guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go Eagles and Sixers and
Go
Phillies.
Eagles, Sixers,
Yeah,
Phillies,
yeah.
Yep.
and Flyers and
Yeah,
Waynes
I
and
will.
Unions. Have a great night. Please
Bye.
click and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Bye.
Thank
Have a
you.
great night.
See you.